What is really happening with Caitlin Clark? The young woman who walked into the WNBA carrying the weight of a league's expectations has now become the subject of endless debates, speculation, and even conspiracy theories. She was supposed to be the face of the next era of women's basketball, but in recent months, her story has taken turns that few could have predicted. Injuries, controversies, rivalries, endorsements, political commentary, and even whispers of bigger moves have all collided around her name. Caitlin Clark has transformed from a brilliant rookie into something larger than life, a phenomenon that has reached far beyond the basketball court. But the bigger the spotlight, the darker the shadows that follow, and Caitlin now lives in a world where every move, every word, every gesture is magnified to the extreme. Her rise to this point is already legendary. Long before she put on a Fever jersey, she was rewriting record books at Iowa, leading her team to Final Fours, captivating audiences with her deep three-pointers, her swagger, and her ability to dominate games almost single-handedly. Crowds grew, television ratings soared, and suddenly a college player became one of the most recognizable athletes in America. By the time she entered the WNBA draft, the hype was so immense that it felt like the entire future of the league rested on her shoulders. And when the Indiana Fever selected her, everything changed for the franchise overnight. Tickets sold out, merchandise flew off shelves, television networks fought for the rights to broadcast Fever games. It wasn't just a draft pick, it was a cultural moment. But cultural moments come with consequences. Expectations are no longer just about performance on the court. Suddenly, Clark was expected to carry an entire league's visibility, to represent progress, to be the player who finally brought women's basketball the recognition it deserved. For a 23-year-old, the pressure was unimaginable, and pressure like that has a way of showing itself in unexpected ways. When Caitlin went down with a groin injury in mid-July, fans held their breath. It was the first real test of how fragile the Fever's dependence on her might be. The timeline for her recovery was unclear, but there was hope she would return in August. That hope shattered when, on August 7th, while training individually in Phoenix, she suffered a bone bruise on her left ankle. At first, reports downplayed the severity, but soon the team confirmed her comeback was slowed, her return postponed indefinitely. That one word, indefinitely, sparked a storm of questions. Was the injury worse than they were saying? Was she being overprotected? Was the Fever hiding the truth about her condition? In professional sports, vagueness breeds speculation, and in Clark's case, the speculation grew into a firestorm. Commentators filled the airwaves with theories. Fans argued on social media about whether she should even return this season. Some whispered about burnout, others about conspiracy. For a player barely into her rookie campaign, it was already too much. And yet, even sidelined, Caitlin remained the center of attention. During a close Fever loss to the Dallas Wings, she became part of the story without even playing. From the bench, frustrated, she entered a heated argument with referee Amy Bonner. Cameras captured every gesture, every word, and within hours the clip was everywhere. Supporters praised her passion and refusal to stay silent. Critics said it was unprofessional and that she was crossing a line. Once again, Clark became a mirror. People projected onto her what they wanted to see. Passionate leader, entitled star, victim of unfair calls. The truth hardly mattered. The story was already out of her hands. This was not an isolated moment. The treatment of Caitlin Clark in the media and among fans has been unlike anything the WNBA has seen before. Take the comments from Skip Bayless, who implied Clark might be exaggerating her injury. In a league where women already battle for respect, the suggestion infuriated many. Teammate Sophie Cunningham jumped to her defense, blasting Bayless and insisting no one had the right to question Clark's toughness. This dynamic, criticism from powerful voices, defense from those closest to her, has become routine. But perhaps the most defining storyline around Caitlin Clark isn't just about her body or her attitude, it's about her identity. The rivalry with Angel Reese, born in college basketball, has exploded into one of the defining cultural narratives of women's sports. Their battles on the court were intense, but what came afterward was even bigger. Every time Reese and Clark face each other, the internet erupts. Media frames it not just as a sports rivalry, but as a commentary on race, privilege, and representation. Many point to Clark's unprecedented sponsorships and media coverage, arguing that her whiteness gives her advantages that her black peers don't enjoy. Others counter that her skills and charisma justify the spotlight. What's undeniable is that Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese together have forced the WNBA into the center of cultural conversations that go far beyond basketball. The attention has been so overwhelming that even Michelle Obama weighed in, warning about the emotional toll of constant online attacks and public scrutiny on young athletes. Without naming names, her words were clearly about the very environment Clark and Reese inhabit. That's how far-reaching the debate has become, from college gyms to the White House, from sports shows to social movements. Caitlin Clark is not just an athlete anymore. She is a symbol, and symbols invite both worship and backlash. This symbolic weight is compounded by her commercial influence. Caitlin Clark is the biggest marketing asset the WNBA has ever seen. Her $28 million Nike contract is unprecedented. She is the league's top jersey seller. Her games draw record television ratings. Indiana Fever ticket sales have skyrocketed. Sponsors see her not just as a star, but as a once-in-a-generation phenomenon who can bring mainstream attention to women's basketball. This effect is so massive it has been given a name, the Caitlin Clark effect. Economists, sports writers, and league officials all agree that no one player has ever had such an immediate financial impact on women's sports. That impact has led to startling speculation. Christine Brennan, a veteran sports journalist, suggested that Clark might one day have the power to launch her own league. It's an idea that sounds outrageous at first, but when you look at the numbers, the millions in endorsements, the millions more in ticket sales and broadcast revenue, it doesn't seem so far-fetched. If she wanted to, Caitlin Clark might not just be the face of the WNBA, she could become its competitor. For league officials, the possibility is both thrilling and terrifying. And then, as if the story needed more layers, politics came knocking. Stephen A. Smith, known for his loud and often controversial takes, claimed that Donald Trump could seize upon Clark's situation to launch an investigation into the WNBA, arguing that her treatment had become a matter of national debate. The suggestion itself was telling. Caitlin Clark has grown so culturally significant that she is now a talking point in political discussions. Imagine that, a rookie basketball player's name being floated in connection with presidential politics. It shows just how far she has transcended her sport. This is the paradox of Caitlin Clark. She is injured, unable to play, yet she dominates the headlines. Yet she holds economic power that reshapes an entire league. She is portrayed as privileged, yet she also faces a level of scrutiny that very few athletes could endure. She is beloved by millions and resented by millions more. She is the savior and the scapegoat, the hero and the villain, often in the same week. The Fever, meanwhile, must deal with the consequences. A franchise once irrelevant in the WNBA conversation is now the most talked-about team in the league. Their games are events, their tickets are gold, but they are also chained to the uncertainty of one player's health. Without Caitlin, the Fever struggle on the court. Without Caitlin, the story loses its main character. Their identity is tied entirely to her presence, and that dependency makes them both powerful and vulnerable. For Caitlin herself, the weight must be enormous. Publicly, she insists she is focused on recovery and committed to her team. But the frustration shows. The sideline arguments, the visible tension, the short answers in interviews, they all reveal the pressure boiling underneath. She knows she is no longer just playing basketball. She is carrying the hopes of fans, the expectations of sponsors, the debates of a society, and the scrutiny of media that never rests. For someone just starting her professional career, the burden is immense. So what comes next? That is the question haunting everyone who follows her story. If she returns healthy and strong, she could silence doubters and cement her status as the sport's defining star. If setbacks continue, the whispers of fragility could become deafening. If the controversies intensify, the WNBA might find itself divided, torn between protecting its brightest star and proving that the league is bigger than one player, is that Caitlin Clark's journey is no longer just about basketball. It is about the intersection of talent, fame, race, gender, money, politics, and culture. She has become a character in a story much larger than herself, and no matter what happens next, her legacy is already being written in real time. So I ask you, is Caitlin Clark on the verge of leaving the Indiana Fever? Maybe even reshaping the entire basketball landscape? Or is she simply living through the growing pains of a star who is destined to rise above it all? Will she break under the pressure? Or will she use it to fuel a new era of dominance? Only time will tell. But
She
one
wore
thing
a
is
white
certain.
outfit and looked gorgeous.
Whatever happens with Caitlin
Sophie
Clark will
exudes
not stay
confidence in
confined to
front
the
of the
court.
camera,
It
without
will
the
ripple
need
through
for studio
sports,
lighting
media,
or a fancy
business,
set.
and even
The
politics.
caption sets the tone.
And now I want to know
I'm
your
weary
thoughts.
of people
Should
telling me
Caitlin
I
Clark
don't look
remain
like
with the
this when I
fever
wake up.
and carry the
I rolled
impossible
out of
weight of
bed
expectation?
like a dummy.
Or should she
Sophie's
one day
style
break
is
away and
strong,
create something
humorous,
entirely
and
new,
unabashedly
rewriting
her
her
own.
story on her
The
own
internet
terms?
pounced.
Leave your
Within
opinion in the
minutes,
comments. And
responses
don't forget to
ranged from
subscribe to this
humorous to
channel so you don't
caustic
miss
to
the next
adoring.
chapter in a
Some
story that is
followers
already
admired
bigger
her
than basketball
perfection.
itself.
A few laughed. Sophie Cunningham could have saved the Titanic. Another stated, "She has the power to end all wars." We need to clone her. The hilarity escalated. Someone who knows her personally confirmed, "I've been there when she wakes up in the morning." And this is true. The thread evolved into a combination of admiration and hilarity. Some questioned the perfect presentation with playful skepticism. One user joked, "Must be nice waking up in full contour, hairspray,